David versus Goliath. It's the timeless tale of the small standing defiant against the mighty, where the outcome seems certain until it isn't. History loves a good underdog, especially one who punches above their weight, like Muhammad Ali, dancing on the ropes, and outwitting a ferocious George Foreman in the rumble in the jungle. Or Rocky Balboa, bruised and bloodied, but still standing against Ivan Drago, the embodiment of Soviet invincibility. Even the 300 Spartans at Thermopylae, staring down an ocean of Persian soldiers, proved that grit can topple giants.
For Sparta!
And then there's motorsport. 1983, the World Rally Championship. Group B racing has gone mad. Minimum regulations, maximum risk. Maximum entertainment. Cars are more monster than machine. Drivers are modern gladiators. And the stakes? Glory that echoes for decades. Enter Audi, the Goliath. Its weapon? The Quattro, a turbocharged, all-wheel drive behemoth that rewrote the rulebook and crushed the competition. A revolution on wheels, an unstoppable force. But then, in the other corner, the Lancia 037, still clinging onto rear-wheel drive, seemingly outdated and seemingly doomed, fighting to prove that finesse and precision could still beat brute force. It wasn't just David versus Goliath. This was a David who forgot his slingshot. Lancer had brought a sword to a gunfight. It was the past taking on the future. The Lancia 037 became the last rear-wheel drive car to win the World Rally Championship, etching its name in motorsport history. This is the story of how David, once again, took down Goliath, only this time on 4 wheels, no less. Back in 1977, Audi was working on a 4-wheel drive vehicle for the German military. At some point, someone had a light bulb moment. What if this tech worked in a regular family car? So, in the dead of night at a secluded German quarry, Audi began secret tests. The results were staggering. A family car with 4 driven wheels had ridiculous grip, even on loose surfaces. It could corner faster, and that, they figured, might make it a game changer in rallying. But there was a catch. In the 1979 Motorsport Rulebook, tucked away on some dust-laden page, was a rule banning 4-wheel drive cars from rallying. Audi, however, had a plan. They sent someone to Paris to bend a few ears at the motorsport governing body. This guy waited until everyone was practically out the door, then casually asked, "Oh, by the way, can we ditch that 4-wheel drive ban?" They all shrugged, assumed he was talking about some military Jeep nonsense, and said, "Sure, why not?" 3 years later, the Quattro was born, and it was unstoppable. Audi clinched the 1982 World Rally Championship with this very car, proving that to win in rallying, 4-wheel drive was a must. Everyone got the memo. Well, almost everyone. Enter the Lancia 037. A masterpiece of Italian engineering. Light as a feather, and powered by a supercharged engine that delivered power instantly, with none of the lag associated with turbocharging. It was a holdout from a bygone era, where skill and finesse mattered more than brute force, where Audi had the full industrial firepower of Volkswagen behind them. Lancia operated on what could generously be called a shoestring budget. Audi boasted an army of engineers, led by the razor-sharp, no-nonsense Dr. Roland Gumpert, a workaholic who preferred grease under his fingernails, and precision in everything else. Lancia? They had Cesare Fiorio, a charismatic playboy team boss who was more at home on a yacht with a cocktail than in a garage with a wrench. Audi fielded a disciplined lineup of world-class talent: Hannu Mikkola, Stig Blomqvist, and Michel Mouton, a dream team in every sense. Lancia, on the other hand, had the brilliant but part-time Walter Röhrl and the fiery Marco Allen. Röhrl famously said he didn't even want to be world champion. He just wanted to enjoy a few rallies that he liked.
I only do these 5 or 6 beautiful rallies and nothing more. I am not interested to win anymore the World Championship title.
On paper, the odds were laughably stacked against Lancia. But they had one weapon Audi couldn't replicate: decades of rallying know-how and a level of cleverness that danced right on the edge of the rulebook. Or, as some might say, borderline cheating. Take 1983, for example, when Lancia pulled off the motorsport equivalent of a street magician's sleight of hand with the 037. Homologation rules clearly stated, you must build 400 cars. Lancia smiled sweetly and said, of course. Then they built 200, but wait, they had a plan. They parked those 200 cars in various spots around the city, shuffled them around like a high-stakes shell game, and invited the FIA inspectors on a very carefully curated tour of déjà vu. The inspectors, bless their trusting hearts, kept nodding along as they passed each new batch. And just like that, rally history was made with half the paperwork. Legends. But wait, it gets better. Enter the cardboard roll cage. Back in Group B, the rules required teams to race with the exact setup they presented during scrutineering. Lancia, being Lancia, arrived with roll cages that looked like they were forged from battleship steel. Thick, rigid, totally legal. The inspectors took one look and gave a firm nod. All good. Then, the rally began. Poof! Like a magic trick, those beefy bars were swapped out for lighter, thinner, more flexible ones. Sure, it meant the drivers were taking a bigger risk. But hey, when you're chasing tenths of a second and every kilogram counts, it was a gamble Lancia was willing to make. Clever? Undeniably. Legal? Questionable. Iconic? Absolutely. The season kicked off in the icy mountains of Monte Carlo. Everyone expected Audi to dominate. After all, snow and ice were the Quattro's natural playground. But Lancia had other plans. They practically bought up every bag of salt in the region, sprinkling it on the iciest corners to melt the snow. They even convinced local authorities to clear dangerous ice from key roads.
There's a lot of ice on that road. It's very dangerous for spectators and for the drivers with all this ice. Oh, yes. And so they went and they cleaned up the route.
And when that wasn't enough, they went full rally ninja, stopping mid-stage to change tires. In Group B, most teams assumed once the race started, you were stuck with the tires you had. But Lancia? They actually read the rulebook. And nowhere did it say you couldn't change tires mid-stage depending on the weather. So when the skies turned grumpy and the roads got slick, other teams were sliding around like Bambi on ice, while Lancia calmly pulled over, swapped to the perfect rubber, and took off like it was dry tarmac. When rivals complained, the FIA brought out the rulebook and shrugged. Well, technically, they didn't break any rules. The result? A jaw-dropping 1-2 finish for Lancia in Monte Carlo. In Sweden, however, the tables turned. The snow was too deep, and there wasn't enough salt in the world to save them this time. But as usual, Lancia had a master plan. They decided not to show up. Audi cruised to an easy 1-2 victory. They repeated the feat in Portugal 3 weeks later. Another comfortable win. Then came East Africa. The legendary, bone-shaking, car-breaking 5,000-kilometer safari rally. This wasn't about speed. It was about survival. Potholes the size of bathtubs, wildlife crossings at 160 kilometers per hour, and dust thicker than a bakery explosion. In the end, Audi had to dial it back, just to keep their cars in one piece, settling for second and third behind the surprisingly resilient Rothman's Opel Ascona 400. And Lancia? They wisely decided to sit this chaos out. By now, most people thought Audi was running away with the championship. But most people were wrong. On the dry, twisty tarmac of Corsica, France, Lancia came out swinging. Instead of their usual 2 or 3 cars, they unleashed 4 to Audi's 2, meaning if everything went perfectly, the best Audi could do was 5th. And guess what? They didn't even get that. Due to mechanical failures, Audi's Quattros fell apart one by one, while Lancia danced through the island roads to a crushing 1-2-3-4 finish. The message was clear. Lancia was back in the title fight, and they weren't messing around.
With our speed, it's just like holiday.
Next up, the Acropolis Rally in Greece. The toughest, roughest round on the calendar. Audi came in as the clear favorite with their rugged Quattro, but no one could have predicted what happened. Lancia's delicate, lightweight 037 somehow held together like it was blessed by the rally gods, while Audi's mighty Quattros crumbled under what felt like a dark spell. Lancia pulled off a stunning victory with a 1-2 finish. Then came New Zealand. Once again, Walter Röhrl and the 037 were untouchable, storming to victory. And Audi? All of their cars retired. More mechanical woes, more frustration, no points. Suddenly, the championship was wide open, and Lancia was charging hard. After a year away, the World Rally Championship returned to Argentina, home to blisteringly fast roads, tailor-made for Lancia's 037. On paper, it was their playground, but Mother Nature had other plans. A deep freeze, courtesy of the Southern Hemisphere's winner. For months, Lancia and Audi played the classic "Are we going or not" game, since only 7 rallies counted toward the championship. But after Audi's campaign face-planted in Greece and New Zealand, panic mode hit. Argentina suddenly became mission critical. Audi scrambled their A-team. Mikola, Mouton, and a late call Blomqvist all shipped off to South America. Lancia, meanwhile, had a weekend to forget. They struggled for traction in the icy conditions and lost an appeal to run-studded snow tires. No studded tires, no grip, and no chance of outrunning the mighty Quattro on long straights. The result? Audi wiped the floor with them. A 1-2-3-4 finish, with Mikola leading the charge and Blomqvist right behind. That win brought Mikola to within just 2 points of Röhrl. Audi was back in the fight, and the title race had officially hit boiling point. But in Finland, a land of high-speed jumps, Lancia had a big problem. Their best driver, Walter Röhrl, refused to compete.
Because, you know, if I want to fly, I would be a pilot.
And Audi took the win. With just a few rallies left, it all came down to San Remo, Italy, Lancia's home ground. San Remo was pure chaos, a dust-choked nightmare where visibility dropped to guess and pray levels. Drivers couldn't see more than a few feet ahead, and cornering felt more like guesswork than driving. Determined to clinch the world title in front of their home fans, Lancia came up with a plan. They brought out sweeper trucks to clear the dust routes. But when that didn't work, Lancia's drivers, ever the schemers, tried stalling at the start line to let the dust settle. A cheeky tactic the officials quickly sniffed out and shut down. So, Lancia turned to their ace, Walter Röhrl. And what followed was nothing short of rally poetry. On the tight, twisty tarmac of his beloved Italian backroads, Röhrl was in a class of his own, a surgeon with a steering wheel. He won 33 of the 58 stages, absolutely dismantling the competition and leading Lancia to a glorious 1-2-3 finish. It was the final blow in a season-long slugfest. Against all odds, Lancia clinched the manufacturer's championship. It was the last time a two-wheel drive car would ever conquer the WRC. And what a way to bow out.